You're now live.
you. Thank you, Harsh. Welcome, everyone, to this evening's FBS chat. We have Sébastien and Geert joining us. Thank you, guys. Very much appreciate it. Happy New Year.
Good to you.
My co-host is the lovely Anne-Marie. I've been told she's lovely. I'm not sure, but the lovely Anne-Marie is going to be my joint co-host tonight. And it's just a conversation about what you guys do, how you use solution-focused therapy in your work. And I often don't really want to know too much about the people I'm interviewing because I just want to ring them curious. Is that okay, guys? So if I ask you something that seems so obviously, how did you not know that? It's because I really genuinely do not know. Is that okay?
Just fire away and ask questions, and we'll do our utmost best.
Yeah, and
Thanks for having us, by the way.
Oh, thank you for joining. And I always want to know the people's journey into solution-focused group therapy, where it began and why, how it made a difference. So maybe start there, guys.
Great. And also the disturbance has left us, the background noise. Chronologically, I think that Geert was many years before me, started with solution focused.
True.
So maybe I can pass the question to you.
Well, we have to go back some 40 years, I think. It was when I just graduated as a young man from my psychology studies. I was looking for additional training in psychotherapy. And moving around here in Bruges in Belgium, there was this guy who seems to be quite new in what he was doing, and that was Dr. Luc Isebaert. And we got to meet each other, and we met up, and he says, yes, I'm running a small training center. It's quite systemic. And I said, okay, I'm interested. So I started a systemic training. And while I was doing that, I think it was my second year of training, Luc told us, well, I met someone. Yeah, but he met all kind of people all of the time. So I was really curious now, who did he meet now? And he told, well, there's this guy in the United States, and his name is Steve de Chazer. And I heard about him from a friend in Paris. And they seem to have quite similar ideas about what changing processes and psychotherapy should be about. And so we invited Steve while I was in my second year as a very young person. And Steve came over to Paris, and we invited him in Bruges. And so what I started as a systemic training ended up to be a solution-focused training. And it was, for me, in my memory, it made a lot of sense. A lot of sense by which I mean that while I was very triggered by the systemic views on change processes and how people connect, it all made that more sense when you connect it, or when you look through it through this lens of the solution-focused approach. And the idea of turning everything around and looking from the side of the clients and see what they are bringing into therapy. And not starting with the theory and the ideas in the counselor's mind of what therapy should be about. It was really, really, really something that really touched me at the very beginning. And this was the beginning of the Korzybski Institute, where Sébastien and I are both staff members. And we have tried to build a model
So what happened to the sound here?
We lost your sound, Geert.
So hopefully we didn't lost Geert.
You tried
So-
to build a model and then the mic fell out.
Yeah. But maybe until we have Geert sounds again. I mean, maybe you could continue, Sebastian. When
Maybe
did
I
you
can-
join it?
So for me, the story began about 25, 20 years ago, something like that. And I was working mostly in youth care, working with kids in underprivileged situations or kids that were referred by juvenile court. And so I was a very hands-on kind of guy, going camping, doing survival trips with those guys, all kind of experimental youth work. And I wanted to find something that could give me more of a background theoretically, but was also very pragmatic. And I was lucky that I lived near to Bruges, and that suddenly via my wife I heard that there was kind of a training with a very strange Russian name. I thought at first it's a Polish name actually. And then I went and I met all these inspiring people like Luc Isebaert, Miriam, Erwin, Geert, Louis at the time. And year after year, they invited all these great solution-focused pioneers from all over the world. And we were listening one week, you had Peter de Jong coming over. We had people like Michael Durand. We had people like Yvonne Dolan, who was training Barry Duncan, and it continued. And Luke was very generous with the whole institute and inviting people from all over the world. So we were very privileged. And from day one, not from day one, maybe I was a little bit more critical than from day one, but pretty quickly I discovered this is my kind of thing. This is something very useful with all the people that I work with those youngsters, but also with families that are struggling, with people that are in very precarious systems and conditions. And it was very useful, especially when working with people that weren't really committed, kids that didn't want to work. And that's what I found also very interesting with the Bruges model, that where at some point solution focused seemed to be reserved for people that are motivated and want to work. Suddenly it became apparent that actually solution focused work is very appropriate to work with people that are, as we say, in an uncommitted relationship, that don't want to be there. So how I got hooked. And since then, more than 2 decades have passed, and I've been incorporated, or even shanghaied, as they say, into the Korzybski Institute team and staff. And we've been meeting people from all over the world, and I've been enjoying it very much. So
yeah, it's so fascinating to hear about, and I was wondering, because I mean, had you been around for, I mean, you said 40 years or something like that, and in the days where Luc was also looking into the approach or the ideas of Korzybski. So my curiosity is a bit about this. Where is this idea from the Korzybski and the solution there going to be fits a lot of things that fits together? Or would you consider it as the same, or where do you see the similarities, or if there is any differences? Does it make sense, my question? Does it resonate with you? Yeah, but and you're willing to respond, but we can't hear you, Red. So, well,
Geert, I'm going to kick you out of the studio and then come back in again. Or if you can, yeah.
Give him a
So
good
you
kick.
guys carry on. I gave him a very good kick.
yeah.
I,
But maybe you know something about it, Sebastian. You know, these original ideas for Korzybski that Luc was interested in, and where he saw this idea from the Steve the Chaser, it's just going to fit, or
It's kind of a, you know how in history sometimes some evolutions happen or discoveries are made in a kind of a similar way or in different places at the same time, and it's like that the era is ready for it. And I think that's what happened over at Korzybski and over with Steve and Insu. When at Korzybski they first started out as a kind of a systemic school, very much influenced by the work of Milton Erickson and the work of the Palo Alto group, the MRI. And so they were influenced by all these things. And then instead of just thinking about systemic while working with clients at the St. John's Hospital in Bruges that had a long-term problem with alcohol addiction, they suddenly started look, instead of looking what's not working, let's at least look at the few things that are still working with these people. And just a couple of I don't know, maybe 1 or 2 years later, it was before the internet times.
yeah, I know.
For everything, we in our archive we have still old snail mail letters, and then came the faxes, and then so everything took much longer to be communicated, and so you needed someone in Paris to tell someone in Bruges about a guy in America. And maybe Geert is already under the speaking, back on speaking terms with us.
I don't know. I can try.
Wonderful.
There I am.
I was just curious about, because obviously we call them mandated clients here, Sebastian. So people that don't necessarily want to be in the session, would rather be anywhere else but talking to you. How did the solution of focus approach help you engage with the mandated clients, as we call them, I guess?
Well, as I understand, and Geert will be able to correct me or add on to me, the story was that, especially between Luc and Steve, that were very good friends, but they also had discussions and arguments and were thinking about how things worked and didn't work. Originally, Steve wasn't very convinced that mandated clients could be helped in a solution-focused way. And of course, because of the kind of therapy that Luc was doing with people with long-term alcohol addiction problems, he wanted to find things that did work. And in the beginning, Steve developed a kind of a flow chart. And after a couple of years, they didn't really adhere to it. They didn't seem to work out. But at the Korzybski Institute, they continued with a flow chart, and they developed especially to help practitioners establish a little bit what kind of mandate, then we talk, what kind of relationship you find yourself in as a therapist with a client, and what are the useful strategic steps that you can take, and especially the Therapeutic Alliance, the respectful listening attitude, the non-judgmental, and the unwavering belief that our clients do have capacities, exceptions, resources that can help them. Once that we can co-create for them a kind of an image of what they want to reach, what they want to obtain.
And if I can add to that, in the development of the ideas at the Bruges model, there were different moments that were significant in as they were really turning points and developmental points that took us along our history that we made. And you mentioned the Korzybski, Mr. Korzybski, and Alfred Korzybski was definitely one of the turning points. His adherence to language, the way he talked about language. Later on, Wittgenstein came, we all know Wittgenstein, but Korzybski was one of the first ones to think about how language is creating realities, and that we only have language to talk about realities. So that was really, really, the map is not a territory, and a thing name is not a thing. All the very well-known sayings by Korzybski's built on his experiences in the First World War, where he was really struck by the idea that the same kind of people who could create these industrial machines and look for prosperity for a lot of people at the same time could create machines that destroyed the same humanity. So, and as he was an engineer coming from a rich Polish family that lived in the United States, he changed his ideas and he dedicated the rest of his life thinking about, but how is this possible? How do we do that as people? And he then came into this whole idea of how language creates realities. And that was built on by the people of NLP. That was how he's called, the CBT man, relied on his ideas. So that was one of the turning points. Another one was the one that Sébastien was referring to, was this whole idea of alliance. Yeah, that the connection built on later on built on the ideas of Wampold and Duncan on the common factors, where consistently we see that almost half of outcome is defined by the way we relate to people. So that was the starting point of this flowchart idea. It was an idea to think about how can we use the relationship we are in with our clients in the best profit of our clients. I think it was Steve de Shazer who said, when asked about the alliance and the therapeutic relationship, who used to say, there is always a relationship. You have to take care not to lose it. And I really found that so interesting, that it's not about creating relationships, it's about being in a relationship and doing the best you can in that relationship, in the mandate you have, which is a circular mandate. It's from the client in our directions, and it's from our directions to the direction of our clients. And being in this circular alliance makes it possible that we can do things in this relationship so that could enable the clients to do other things on their own, because we don't have to wait for our clients to have this big question for us. No, we are in this mandated relationship, and we can do things in this mandated relationship that makes it possible for our clients to do new things or create new possibilities.
It's so interesting. And I think even, Peter de Jong or Gergen have taken it further to it's the relationship before the persons, right? It's already there, the relationship. So it's about what we're doing with the relationship. And that's very, very fascinating.
And this idea of these different kinds of relationships is, I think, our response to how can we make sure not to lose the relationship? And it's by connecting in the best possible way. If there is no question at this moment from the client, how can we react respecting that there's no question for the moment? If people are very eager to move on and do things, how can we connect in the best possible way to connect to this eagerness and this urge to do things? So you can do too little, you can do too much. It's about really relating at the right point.
And this is your concept of alliance, right? Yeah, your ideas about that. Yeah.
I was just going to ask, you were saying before that we already have a relationship because the clients come to see us. So at some level, they've come to see us for a reason. So there's a relationship. What is it about solution focus that helps us keep that relationship and not lose it? Just
a good question. Very, very interesting question.
Was it towards me?
Yeah.
Sorry. I think that's there the match between solution focused work and the theories on language, theory of habits, Therapeutic Alliance is well, I think Barry Duncan once wrote it in one of his chapters. It's a match made in heaven, because the solution focused work that is so respectful and where we build on this kind of image that people want to obtain, the goals, we help them make it for them clearer where they want to go to, is so respectful. It's not our agenda that we push, even if they are mandated to come, if it's their parents, or if it's a judge that says that they have to come, or whoever told them to come. We ask what they want to obtain. We ask, even if if they want to get rid of court, or if they want to get rid of us, that's a very healthy reaction. And how can we be of service to them and obtaining that goal? And what have they already done on the point of view of efforts? What strategies that they already developed to get rid of all this, and how did they manage to stay out of trouble earlier on? And now we're talking about people that really don't want to come. And by respecting that, by listening to them, by taking them seriously, by really, and they sense if you believe them or if you're just playing some tricks and using some tools. It's really that basic attitude of believing that there are things that these clients, they want to obtain, they want to get done, they want to get rid of, they want to get to a certain point in their life where they are left alone and nobody bothers them, and that's perfect. And we are going to help them with that by asking questions and asking them how they already managed to stay out of trouble, and how and also when we talk about mandated clients, there's also people that refer them. There are other people, and by the way that we talk in a respectful way about those people, and at the same time use the leverage that they give us. They see that we are also very respectful towards everyone else, and so I think respect is the key word, and that's so beautiful in the marriage between the classic solution focused world and then what we do within the Bruges model.
Mm-hmm. And I would like to add that we use this fundamental view on our clients as being competent, meaning that they have good reasons to do what they do, say what they say, think what they think, and that we validate them in that point, that we are really interested in the way they are thinking, the way they organize their lives, and really connect to them as competent people, even if they have questions that are not questions we can give the answers to or whatever. But we this kind of respect Sébastien was referring to is respecting them as competent people. And that brings us on the same level. We are trying to match their competence and our competence, even if they don't want to be there.
Yeah, they have good reasons, right?
Right.
Yeah, you were mentioning, Sébastien, like the classical solution-focused model and the brief model, and we all know solution-focused model. A lot of places it doesn't look like it did 40 years ago, so it has developed. How have you developed the Bruges model? How does it look like today compared to when you started or you kicked off, or what's different?
Well, the difference for me, and then Geert can add on another 20 years further back in the past. What I see now much more than when I started this is especially and as I talk about Belgium and about Flanders, is that it's incorporated on so many levels in so many fields, and that the model has spread, and by a model that is spread, of course, you get all kinds of evolutions, some things that maybe we might have second thoughts about or thrown up, and at the same time, such beautiful applications of solution focused with people working as well in prisons as in sports, people working in schools as well with cancer patients, people working with moms, teenage mothers, people working with people with dementia. And so you see all these different levels, and each time that one of our students or that one of our colleagues internationally comes with a new story, it never stays the same. It continues, and we see that sometimes in some waves, like we have in history, goes up and down. Sometimes there's the urge to make it as simple as possible and make it very straight and very clear. And then you've got movement about, but then we lose a lot of things, and look how it is useful in that way and in that way. And I like this dynamic, this living thing that it is become all over the world. So that's what I have seen the last 20 years.
And if I can add to that, I think when we started off that many years ago, we had the tendency to be still quite concentrated on what kind of solution-focused techniques we can use, because it was quite new and very helpful. And we enjoyed ourselves trying them out and see where we were getting at. But I saw development in the last 20 years or something to become even more client-directed. We are not client-centered, of course, we're client-centered, we are all client-centered, but we have become even more client-directed in the way that, as Sébastien told us, there is a tendency to define over and over again what solution-focused is. And that changes with time. And we had earlier years, we have different years, we had different interpretation of things, but it was still a little bit of what is it now, as if we were still looking for some kind of protocol. And we started off with a client-directed way, and that was the protocol. And I think what we have been doing the last period of the Korzybski Institute is reinstalling that very basic idea of being client-directed. And if exceptions work well with this client, then we use exceptions. If parts of the wanted future works better, then we work with parts of the wanted future. So it's up to the client, and I think we became quite strong in believing that really working client-directed, so leaving all important decisions to the client and asking clients, is it okay? Is it where you want to go? I think that is one of the strong points of the latest development in the latest 10, 15 years or something. It's a little bit away from what you should do and more to engaging with clients in asking and looking out what could be helpful. And there is a difference between the two. And of course, we have our way of doing things, and we have some general ideas about techniques that work well. But along that, once you've gone into the flow of work, then it should really become client-directed.
And maybe adding on that, it's up to us to work in a solution-focused way. It's not up to our clients to work in a solution-focused way. So sometimes clients come with some kind of idea, a concept of what they assume would be working for them, and maybe that's totally not solution-focused. So I don't think that's up to us to say, well, no, I don't work that way. You can explain the way you work. And at the same time, I've discovered that many approaches, many ways of engaging with our clients, even if they start from a problem-oriented demeanor, that's what is necessary for them at that point. And we're not problem phobic. We're solution focused. That means that we believe and we discover with our way of working and with our techniques and whatever we use, that even in the problem talk that our clients need to sometimes to give to us, because they need to feel valued, they need to feel recognized, they need to talk about their problems. Even within that, we can allow that in a very solution-focused way, respecting their tempo, their speed, respecting what they need to talk about. And then we ask some coping questions, or we just listen, first of all.
I love that, because I think when you first learn the approach, I think you can get the idea that you start to become solution forced. You're waiting for a way in without really listening. And I think what I've learned over the years, probably Aisha as well, is to go at the client's pace. Pacing is so important, right? Because a client wants you to understand what they've been through. And if we cut that off and start going into solution-focused questions, it can be quite disrespectful, right?
Mm.
I believe our flow chart that we have with the Bruges model is one of the instruments you can use to help pace yourself, and it's kind of a compass to help therapists to adapt and be respecting of the tempo and the pace of the clients.
Yeah, and I guess that although you are client directed, then you have your ideas about like this now coping questions might be useful, or that that there is kind of a frame or ethical frame for what you do in your work, in your therapeutic work. I think we need to have that. Where would you say your work is right now? I mean, is it still in development? Are you still looking into some new elements or trying something out or having any projects? Or where would you say it is right now, looking into 2026?
Well, one of the projects of this year is that we want to try to catch all the important evolutions we've been through in this 40 years. So we are planning with Geert Lefevere, who has been there from the very, very, very beginning, to capture all her ideas and to video them and audio them and make sure they don't get lost. So that's a little bit looking to the past and see what we can keep from the past. And then looking to the future, I think historically we have always been very connected to the psychiatry world through the work of Luc and Miriam and a few others within the Korzybski staff. And we are still trying to make the solution-focused ideas within the psychiatric world more alive, meaning that you see again some tendencies to become more problem-focused. As you look at, for instance, all the work that has been done around trauma, or around other issues, and we try to kind of reintroduce the solution-focused way of connecting within these lines of work. So that's quite something as a project. Will take some time and effort to do that, but I think I can say that we're on the good track for the moment to do that.
Yeah. It sounds very interesting, and immediately I become curious about how to do that, how to make these ideas more alive within the psychiatric field. Because I mean, if you got any tips and tricks, I think there's a lot of people who would like to know how to do that. So can you share? I mean, maybe you have taken some small steps, baby steps, or you have some, I don't know, good ideas.
Yeah. Well, one of the things we've been trying to do is to change the language we use in talking about clients or patients in that case. So we really try to teach each other how to use a solution-focused language, meaning getting a little bit rid of the problem-centered way of talking about patients and looking with this competence-based language. So with team meetings, we try to focus on what went well last week or some days ago or whatever time frame. What were you touched by? what little changes did we see? So we try to use another kind of language to talk about clients. Even in the group sessions we have with clients, try to we try to use and invite clients to talk about each other in this kind of way. And see that there are little changes that when people see you in the doorway or something and they give a comment, you see that their language is changing a little bit. They say, hey, here, it's okay today. I think I'm on a 6 today. So that's one of the ideas we try to do. And one is that we try to work top bottom, meaning that we try to introduce these solution focused ideas with the staff members of the hospital, with all those who are responsible for taking, I don't know what important decisions. And we try to make them warm for this approach and see how they can level down, how they can talk to the people beneath them, and they can talk to the people beneath them. So, and it's baby steps, but it's I think it's.
But it is, and I think it sounds like very clever steps. I mean, walk the talk, by talking the way that we would like other people to talk or to listen, or then they listen in another way. And it's going to be interesting, how you can have an impact on the field by doing this. And you might have more to add on, but important steps. And I'm sure they will have a huge impact. And already, have it changing people's mind or their way to respond.
Of course, we have a strategic advantage, and that's a choice that the Institute has made from the beginning with Luc, is that we work within hospital settings. We teach and train within 2 very reputed hospitals in Belgium, in Bruges and in Antwerp. And we also train psychiatrists in our training. So we have that historical advantage, I think, here, and that we've always found very important to nurture these connections. We've always, I know that Geert and Luc and Miriam and Erwin did a lot of work to keep good contacts and connections within the world of residential and mobile psychiatric work. So I think that's we are very grateful for that background.
And maybe another project is super and intervision. We've been doing, of course, as you do, for many years, intervision and supervision with our students and participants of the trainings. And we have collected hundreds of written or typed cases with comment from mostly from Miriam, who's absolutely a genius in doing this. And what we are trying to do now, that we started that with last year, I think it was, Sébastien. Some students have made this as their master thesis, and they have looked at patterns in the comments of Miriam. So we are trying to look what are patterns in commenting in a solution-focused way on video work or case work that people can bring in. And what we are trying to establish is some kind of frame that allows us to do intervision and supervision amongst ourselves, that our students can do this also amongst themselves. So we make it even more solution focused and student directed.
And we're also experimenting with latest developments on AI and software with baby steps. As of course, solution focused has the advantage of looking for patterns that work. That's what we Milton Erickson taught us. What are their patterns of happiness? What are their and maybe that AI that is being perceived as a threat on many levels, and probably is, can also at least sometimes maybe be efficient and helpful, especially as maybe a help for therapists and practitioners to recognize patterns and but that's small experiments on the side that we are working with, at least as much as we try and talk with our students about when they use AI, when they make their thesis works, and how not to use it in a responsible way. So, and all that happens in the world of social media, of people getting involved in this online tsunami that we are getting, that we also believe that the solution-focused way of working is very useful because we don't need to be experts to work in a solution-focused way. So we don't need to be experts on all the latest developments that come too quickly with anything that's technological and that's computer-based. So solution-focused is also a very good way to tackle these issues and to help our clients.
Yeah. I believe in so many. Sorry, Joe.
No, go on. I'm sitting here really kind of not frustrated with you guys, frustrated with the system that we have here. So, young people's mental health services, for example.
Yeah.
The young people with the most complex needs get to wait the longest amount of time because they have to wait for an expert to come and see them. So they're waiting for 2 years. And then in 2 years, their issues have become worse and worse. And it's really frustrating because it sounds like being solution focused, we have to go in slowly and you know, have these little conversations about what might help and what might change, and they don't see value in what we're doing, but they don't notice the fact that they're waiting. Their waiting lists are getting longer and longer, and people are getting worse and worse. But they won't give something else right because they're so used to the medical model. How do we tell these people, hey, wake up, there's another way?
Yeah, and I mean, actually, that's a longer discussion, you know, of social or political discussion about, you know, the waiting system, the welfare systems, and how they keep the young people waiting, because they have these certain ideas about how they should be helped, you know, and there's one way and doesn't look on the other ways. And I think, yeah, that is a frustration, and have been that in Denmark as well. I think that is why it's so interesting for me to listen to you guys for Korzybski, because your ideas about having, first of all, having a close relationship fundamentally in hospitals, in the worlds of hospitals, and secondly also having this project tried out within the field of psychiatry can have a huge impact on the ideas about how to approach or how to work with, for instance, young people that are in need or don't thrive or whatever. Yeah, I think that is going to be so interesting to see the development of that. And I also think what you were saying, Sebastian, about, AI, yeah. I mean, we know the students, they just use AI for their thesis. So it's not about whether to use it or not, but how to use it. And I think that's an obligation all of us have, that find these balances of how to use it. So I'm curious about Korzybski in 15 years or 20 years. How would that look like? What is your preferred future for your Korzybski Institute?
Yes, go ahead.
What I would really love to see in the years to come is that the solution-focused approach remains an important way of looking at change processes. We all know that within this world of counseling, we are still a small family. And we are growing, but still we are small families. So I really, really would like to give all my effort to make sure that this so important way of looking at people and looking at changes we can remain that and keep it growing. So that would be my best hope for the time to come.
Yeah.
Uh,
Sebastian?
for me, well, of course, the same as Geert said. And maybe even more, it's well, it's late in the evening. Maybe we can get philosophical. Where, as Joe also said, we're in a world where there are many things that are going wrong, especially for the moment on international, on many levels. And yet the fact that I work in a solution-focused way every day with my clients and in teaching, each time makes me discover hope and resources and small progress. And maybe very egoistically, but it helps me wake up every day and continue and try to help people as well as I can do and do my part in a world that sometimes seems very crazy. And I'm very thankful to have discovered the solution-focused way for my clients and for my own sanity.
I guess that could be like a project in the future, Does solution-focused practitioner or people live longer? Because there's so much hope in and looking at what's working, and this whole language of hope. So yeah, that would be a nice one to make.
So we need a researcher on this straight away. We'll have to get someone to fund this research. We've actually come to the end of FBS chat. That felt like 5 minutes, not an hour. I personally, I know I've been doing things in the background, but it was an amazing conversation to listen to. Any last words? I'll start with Anne-Marie and then go around before we draw it to a close.
No, it is just like you said, Asa, that it felt like 5 minutes and I could have used much more time. And I think there is so much ideas and knowledge to share between us that can be useful for each and every one of us. So it's just appreciation of this format where we can share ideas and can get to know each other better.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And Sébastien, any last words?
Well, I'm very thankful to, as always, to be in touch with solution-focused friends internationally. And I think spreading the good stories, the successful stories, is very important. And that's what you guys are doing. And happy to have been part of that and carry on the good work, I would say.
And who should we go to next? Who do you think? Yeah, go on.
I share, of course, the same gratitude towards the invitation. And once again, I felt this this energy coming up while discussing these kind of topics we have been discussing. And it just hope it invites us all to do more of this thing. So I'm very grateful for this format and the way we were able to share ideas today. So thank you very much.
Yeah.
Well, no, thank you both for joining. It's been absolutely incredible. Listening in, it's been absolutely brilliant. Joe?
Yeah, again, just listening to how solutions use of other countries, other settings. I just love the confidence that it brings, whichever way that is, that we believe in clients and that they have the resources. And I think the more we believe in clients, the better it is, because clients can only change clients. We can have a conversation, but they need to do it themselves. And we should focus. A brilliant way to do that. And thank you guys for spending this time with us. Really, really appreciate it. And thank you, Emily, for co-hosting.
You're welcome. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, thank you very much, Andrea, and thank you to all three of you to have joined us today. And we do apologise for the mic, so we'll try and get this sorted by Wednesday when we have Anne-Marie Wolf back in the studio with Vicky, where they will be talking about EBTA and SFBTA. Oh my God, I went blank. So we're going to be talking about two amazing organisations where they bring all the SF people together, which is where we kind of all met, physically met. We all knew each other online, but that's where we physically met. Was the first time at EBTA. So I'm grateful for those opportunities. But can I ask you guys just to stay right there, and while I just say bye to everybody, just so we can have a after party, if you like. So see you guys at 7 p.m. Take care, everyone. Thank you.